Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and this is a book haul for January of 2025. So earlier today, I had filmed a used book haul, but now I have a book haul of new books. I don't often buy new books, but sometimes I can find really good deals, and in which case I buy them. So I got new books from two different locations. One of them was from a Black Friday deal that I saw some pretty good prices and just kind of pulled the trigger and got those. And then I have a pile here from Hamilton Books, which is a Connecticut-based online bookseller who, sometimes you can find some really good deals there. And I'm pretty excited by the pile. As I'm looking at all these things, there is a certain theme that I wasn't aware of until I was looking at the books in front of me. And it definitely is, it goes to something that is a part of sort of my personality. I have a lot of different interests, right? Like I'm a horror fan, and I'm interested in things like ghosts. I don't believe in ghosts. I just last month did a new booktube event, The Ghost of Christmas Past, about reading ghost stories around Christmas time, just like the Victorians did. But even if I don't believe in ghosts, I believe in the power of ghost stories. I believe that those things can tell us some things about ourselves. For when I got my master's in history, my master's thesis was all about looking at ghosts and hauntings in horror films and using them basically as artifacts to look at what was going on in those eras. So I went all the way through the 20th century and into the 21st century and looking at American culture in particular. And, basically how were the ghosts and hauntings reflective of the things that were occurring in people's anxieties and traumas and things like that. So I believe very strongly in the power of stories. So ghosts are one example. I also have a big interest in things like Norse or Viking culture and Viking religion. I've been looking into things like neo-paganism and modern witchcraft. And even though I'm not a polytheist, I don't believe in multiple gods. I don't believe in magic. I don't believe in the supernatural. I'm an atheist. I do believe that the stories we tell ourselves can be very powerful. And if we do it in the right way, they can be transformative. We can do it also in a reasonable way. So I have been investigating things like neo-paganism and heathenry and all of that. So all those sorts of things are really reflective in the sorts of books that you're going to see here. So let me start off with the really kind of like some of the pagan things that I got and witchcraft stuff. So Llewellyn, who is a pretty big publisher when it comes to paganism, witchcraft, they have been for a very long time, especially with Wicca. But they had a Black Friday deal, so I picked up some titles from them that had caught my eye. So the first one, well, actually, I'll start with these ones because I got these and I've already read them. I read these earlier this month, so I'll eventually make a video about these. But the first one that I got was Elves, Witches, and Gods, Spinning Old Heathen Magic in the Modern Day by Kat Heath. And in October, I had read The Crooked Path, which was all about modern day traditional witchcraft. And I thought that was really interesting stuff. Again, I'm looking at the ways that people take myth and lore and then they basically create ritual and craft out of it. They make it into something usable within their lives. And that's kind of where I'm looking at that crossroads. And she's doing that with kind of a traditional witchcraft, but also a Norse style. And she's looking at how heathenry, how it can work within that. I don't want to get too specific because I'll eventually make a video about this, but it really intrigued me, so that's why I picked it up. And I had also picked up this one here, Round We Dance by Mark Green. He is the kind of creator of what he calls atheopaganism, so an atheist form of paganism, which is about revering nature through ritual, but not having any kind of belief in the supernatural or magic or anything like that, but about using ritual to invigorate our lives, to mark the passings of the season. So something that I am very, very interested in, and that's why I picked it up. But like I said, I have actually read those two now since picking them up. I haven't read this one yet. This is Witches Among Us by Thorn Mooney. There she is on the back. She's a pretty prolific YouTuber as well. But her videos have always really intrigued me, because I know that she is actually approaching this through a place of kind of scholarship. She is a practicing Wiccan. She's a Wiccan high priestess, or I believe, and she also moves like basically within academic circles. She comparative religion, those sorts of things. And I remember her saying on some of her videos that she wished that she had a book that, that she could hand basically to people who are not witches and say, this is what we are about. This is what witchcraft is. Because all the ones that sort of try to do that also have like exercises in how you can make your own spell or, your own potion. She's like, that's not what she wanted. She wanted something for outsiders. And that's what this is. So I thought this would be kind of a cool primer for me on witchcraft and things like that, because like I said, I'm not a witch, but I am interested in the topic. Okay, the rest of the books here I got from Hamilton Books, and I actually found another Llewellyn one really cheap. So I had gotten this, Loki and Sigon, Lessons on Chaos, Laughter, and Loyalty from the Norse Gods by Leah Svensson. And this actually looks like it was part of the Myth and Meaning Joseph Campbell Book Club. So Joseph Campbell is somebody who I still occasionally read works from, and he was also interested in that same sort of thing of, basically taking myth and somehow applying it to lives. He never had a system worked out or rituals or anything like that, but he kind of was convinced that it could be done, even if it seems to have been done after his passing. So I found this really cheap, and I thought, yeah, let me see what people are pulling from the Norse myths and applying it to their lives. So I thought this would be a cool look at that. Okay, I think it's the last of the modern, oh, well, not exactly. I got another pagan thing that's I was surprised to see when I saw it. This looked interesting. This was Roger Clark, A Natural History of Ghosts, 500 Years of Hunting for Proof. And this is from Penguin. So this seems to look especially at like 19th century, maybe the 20th century, look at people's belief in ghosts. So I'm sure it goes into things like spiritualism and hauntings. How did people see hauntings like in the 1800s? So this seems like it'd be kind of a pretty cool history of that topic. So I was excited to see this so cheap. All these books, I mean, they were all, I think, under $5 each one. I didn't spend a lot on this pile here, so I was really happy to get this stuff. And now I have something on historical paganism. I'm never crazy about these covers that I see for this guy's books. They always come off as very, I don't know, they look to me at least like, vanity press type thing. But I know his scholarship is actually supposed to be really good. So this is Claude Latoo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. He was French. He was a French professor of, here it says in the back, of medieval literature and civilization at the Sorbonne. And I think in his retirement, I think he was starting to write a lot of these things. But these are looks at especially Germanic paganism and how they thought. So he's got a whole bunch of different books like this. But this one, like I said, I found it really cheap on there, on Hamilton. This is The Return of the Dead, Ghosts, Ancestors, and the Transparent Veil of the Pagan Mind. So how did Germanic pagans think about ghosts and revenants and those sorts of things, the dead returning, the dead communicating? So this looked like it would be a really cool study. This is definitely a possible contender for Q2 of Historathon. Okay, got another one dealing with religion. This is Alec Reilly, Unbelievers, An Emotional History of Doubt. So I guess it says that the author is a professor of the history of Christianity at Durham University and professor of divinity at Gresham College, London. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what this is supposed to be about, but it seems like it's looking at the emotional component of people believing or disbelieving. How do times of crisis maybe pull people either away from religion or towards it? So it looks like it's all about how feelings play a role in these sorts of things, which I guess I'm pretty interested in seeing a writing about that. My own unbelief is not really an emotional one at all. I don't really have emotional ties to it, whatsoever. It's not an anger or anything like that. It's just purely kind of intellectual, just never really believed. So, it'll be interesting to see what the author is trying to get at in this. But if I have it totally wrong and you've read this, please let me know. Okay, I got 3 more. So we've got this. This is Necessary Death: What Horror Movies Teach Us About Navigating the Human Experience. So we got these 2 authors, and it looks like so with this incisive film commentary that connects to readers who struggle with any type of mental health issue, self-destructive behavior, or who are simply interested in what it means to be human, this engaging book offers new ways to look at some of the horror classics. So it looks like some of the questions they try and answer in this are: how do we find authentic inner strength and bravery, particularly when it comes to confronting our own inner demons? How can we unapologetically be our imperfectly perfect selves? Why is change a good thing, and how can we thrive with it? How do we cultivate a deeper sense of gratitude for life and the little things we often take for granted? So, again, it kind of falls under that weird theme that I'm playing with. Whether it's ghosts, whether it's like, myth and folklore, polytheistic belief, whatever it might be. How do we take those things and how do we kind of start applying them to our lives and make them a little more meaningful? And here we have a big horror fan, how are they going to try and do this? How are they going to try and make more of a personal connection with horror films rather than just as entertainment or maybe something that scares you? Can we pull deeper things from it? So, I'm interested to see what they say. All right, I got this one. The Devil Made Me Do It: Crime and Punishment in Early New England by Juliet Haynes Mofford. And I don't know a lot about what's in here other than what the title says, but it looked like it'd be really interesting. Of course, this is a puritanical land at this time, so most of these crimes and punishment are probably going to be related to religious belief or, belief in witchcraft and things like that. But I'd be interested to see, how were they accused? What were the trials like? How did the punishments happen? And looks like it does have, there are some illustrations in here as well. And I'm seeing various quotes. Well, didn't work out for that person too well. But yeah, looks like it'd be a pretty cool study. And I am in New England, by the way. That's what I was referencing before, as far as this land. And then this last one, I had seen this. I had definitely eyed it a few times when Yale University had its sales, and I just never kind of pulled the trigger on it. But when I'd seen it, I'd always kind of assumed that it was kind of a smaller book, not much. I should have read the fine print. I got this for like $3, I think, on at Hamilton Books, so I'm not at all, sorry that I got it. I was just really surprised by how big it was when I picked it up. So this is Confessions of a Born-Again Pagan by Anthony T. Croneman. Wow. This thing, I didn't realize it was over 1,000 pages. This was a brick. When I opened up the box, I saw how big the box was when they delivered it from Hamilton. I'm like, how many freaking books are in here? I didn't think I ordered that many. I ordered a good pile, but not that many. And then I opened this, and I couldn't believe it. But I'll just kind of read the blurb just to try and figure out what this whole thing is about. It says, brilliantly surveying centuries of Western thought, Anthony Croneman travels the road to a new and joyful conception of God, one that is not only compatible with our firmly held modern beliefs, but indispensable to them. Drawing on the riches of ancient philosophy and later thinkers from Aquinas to Darwin and Freud, the author leads his readers on a journey away from the creator God of the Abrahamic religions toward a God whose eternal and inexhaustible presence is that of the world itself. So, the reviews that I've read say that it's pretty good, but, I was not expecting to be this big, so I'm not entirely sure when I'm going to get to it. But I have it. All right. That's a lot of books. I'm going to see if I can make some kind of stack out of this. And then if I can possibly hold it up. Let's see. Take some of these smaller books. Put on the top. All right. So these are the new books that I've gotten over the past, like I said, one of them was a Black Friday deal, some of those. So it's been almost 2 months that I've been getting these things. So we've got Natural History of Ghosts, Loki and Sigon, Witches Among Us, The Devil Made Me Do It, Necessary Death, Unbelievers, Return of the Dead, Round We Dance, Elves, Witches and Gods, and Confessions of a Born-Again Pagan. So yeah, if you read any of these, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, thank you, BookTube.